With Marvel's new Eyes of Wakanda miniseries now streaming on Disney+, I figured this would be the perfect time to look back at Black Panther's greatest moments in animation. So without further ado, let's get started on my deep dive into Black Panther throughout animated Marvel shows. Let's go. What's going on all my cartoon junkies? My name is Jacey and I just finished watching every animated cartoon that features Marvel's Black Panther, all the way from the first appearance in the 1990s to 2025 with Eyes of Wakanda. Now before I do get started, please make sure that you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on more videos of classic cartoon characters that I'm doing deep dives for just like this. Alright, so let's start with the 1990s, which was his first major animated role and early appearances within that decade. One of the first that we did get in 1995 was X-Men the Animated Series, which was a cartoon that I grew up watching religiously. Now this version of the character featured Black Panther as the first on-screen appearance that was a quiet, blink and you'll miss it type of moment on season 4's two-part Sanctuary storyline. He didn't speak or fight, just silently watch Magneto gather mutants from Africa. Now, although that was a background cameo, it was still cool to see that introduction of Black Panther in a small little glimpse. Then in 1995, we got Fantastic Four the Animated Series and season 2 with the episode titled Prey of the Black Panther. Now, if you have not checked out my cartoon versus episode where I start to look at all of the Fantastic Four animated shows we've gotten through the years and comparing them, please go and check those out because it does feature some clips with Black Panther. That was one of my favorite episodes of the 1994 show. I love that episode and I remember watching it all the time, even later on when it came onto streaming. Now this version of the character featured T'Challa's Black Panther, and in this episode it was the true animated debut, which a lot of people, to be honest, even in the comments might say, well, this was my first introduction, because it was mine as well. And as I was creating this video, I thought, was it X-Men that came first or this Fantastic Four animated show? I couldn't really remember, but as I looked at the dates, it confirmed that X-Men the Animated Series, that appearance came first. Now, he invites the Fantastic Four in this episode to Wakanda as a part of a trap to lure out his longtime enemy, Claw. Now, the storyline loosely follows his comic book origin. Now, as far as the voice acting goes with that appearance, this was voiced by the commanding Keith David. Yes, the legend himself, Dr. Facilier, aka Mr. Childs himself from the iconic John Carpenter's The Thing. He is a legend for sure, but he brought dignity and strength to the role, making Black Panther instantly memorable. Now, as far as the animation style in this episode, the show used smoother animation than its 1970s predecessor, this being aired in the 1990s. While not the most fluid by today's standards, its bright color palette and cleaner design helped Black Panther stand out, especially in his high-tech Wakandan backdrop. Now, this leads me to 1999's Avengers United They Stand. Now, this version of the character is a little different because Black Panther didn't physically appear in this series, but was honored with a portrait hanging in the Avengers mansion. He was more active in the spin-off comic series, which we will get to later, but I thought I would just mention him anyways in this because, yes, it was a brief appearance. I gotta try to cover all my bases in this video, alright? So don't judge me. Next, this leads me to the 2000s. From cameos to leading roles, this is where Black Panther was a more major role in a lot of the cartoons. 2006, we got him in Ultimate Avengers 2, Rise of the Black Panther, which was a heavier role for the hero that we all know. And with this version of the character, it followed a younger T'Challa who becomes king after the death of his father, T'Chaka. He joins forces with the Avengers to fend off an alien invasion by the Chitauri. Now, as far as the voice acting in this, Jeffrey D. Sams provided a solid and serious voice that matched T'Challa's royal presence. I did enjoy his version as well as Keith David's, but I mean, come on now, it's Keith David. This version leaned into a more stylized comic book look with solid action scenes. Uniquely, T'Challa had the ability to morph his head into that of a panther, an unusual power that's not really been seen anywhere else, but I thought I'd mention it here because as I went back to watch some of these, I thought, wow, that's really different, but kind of cool nonetheless. Then we got 2007's Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow, and this version of the character is set in a post-apocalyptic future. T'Challa is ultimately killed by Ultron. His son Azari, born from a union with Storm, carries on the Black Panther legacy. legacy. Now, this was a very interesting take, knowing later on in the comic books how T'Challa and Storm end up together. And when it comes to the voice acting, the cast includes actors to fit this generation theme. Now, although this was a younger cast, it did feature a sleek and action-focused, if balanced, bright visuals with dark themes of loss and legacy. Next, we got 2009's Iron Man Armored Adventures. I remember watching this as a kid and thinking, man, this is awesome. And this version of the character featured a teenage Black Panther who seeks justice of his father's murder and works alongside Iron Man. He evolves from a long prince into a trusted friend and ally. Now, as far as the voice acting in this one, the Black Panther was voiced by Jeffrey Balver Chapman, who brought a younger, determined energy to the role. This was a different take for sure, seeing him a little bit younger and growing into the Black Panther that we all know, but I did enjoy seeing this version as well. Now, as far as the animation style goes, this is CGI heavy with this version, and it has a cel-shaded finish throughout this version. It showcased high-tech gadgets and stylized combat scenes. Panther's armor was uniquely designed with sleek lines and bolded detail. Next, we got 2009's The Superhero Squad Show. This character, of course, is the lighthearted comedic series that showed Black Panther as a seasoned warrior alongside Storm. They helped the team take down villains like MODOK, etc., etc. Now, for this voice acting, it was a little different to see because Taye Diggs actually voiced T'Challa in this one. It was pretty different seeing him because I've seen him throughout the years in various movies like Brown Sugar, Malibu's Most Wanted, a lot of different comedic and dramatic roles, and I did enjoy seeing a little bit of a fresh take and hearing his voice in this. Now, he blended charm and authority in this cartoony type of setting. As far as this animation style, it was simplified, exaggerated, and comedic, designed for younger viewers and based on toy line aesthetics. So you got kind of this version that catered more to that younger audience so that they could get a little more familiar with T'Challa himself. Now, this leads me to the 2010s, where we got a little more rise in popularity and a solo series. In 2010, we got Black Panther, the Marvel Knights motion comic. Although I wish this was a real animated show, not that this isn't real, but it was more of a motion comic, so you didn't see so much of the fluidity when it came to this series. Now, with this version of the character, it is based on Reginald Hudlin's Who is Black Panther series. This adaptation dives into Wakanda's traditions, Claw's attack, and T'Challa's role as protector and king. Now, with this voice acting, we got Djimon Hounsou voicing T'Challa with gravitas. I loved his version as well as Keith David's. I feel like those two are probably my favorites. Kind of hard to say though, but supporting voices like Kerry Washington as Shuri and Stan Lee himself as General Wallace really made standouts in this motion comic. And with this animation style, we got stylized motion comic format with minimal animation and dramatic comic panel transitions, but I thought I'd mention it on this episode because come on now, we got a solo Black Panther motion comic. And next we got 2010's The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is probably one of the more popular versions of the character, but Black Panther starts off in exile after Man-Ape takes over Wakanda. He later joins the Avengers and becomes a vital member of the team. Now, with voice acting, T'Challa was voiced by James C. Mathis III, providing a steady and noble voice that defined the character for years to come. Now, with this animation style, we got a traditional 2D animated series with vibrant colors and comic-inspired designs. This series is considered one of the best Marvel cartoons in my opinion, and like I said, it's one of the more popular versions of T'Challa that we have seen, but I love this whole show and watched it from front to back right when it came out in the 2010s. Next, we got 2014's Marvel Disc Wars, The Avengers, aka the Japan version. Now, this version of the character featured T'Challa trapped in a containment disc, and he eventually helps the teenage protagonist battle Red Skull and other threats. His armor featured a golden motif instead of the visual silver or purple. I thought it was really different seeing that golden motif because it kind of reminded me of Michael B. Jordan's version of Killmonger from the movie, so it was really interesting to see this version. Now, as far as this version, Black Panther was voiced by Mahito Oba in this Japanese take. When it comes to the animation style, it featured a shonen style anime with lots of fast action and dramatic poses catering to younger audiences. Now, this led us into Avengers Assemble in seasons 3 and 4. And with this version of the character, we got a central figure in Ultron Revolution Revolution and Secret Wars. Black Panther leads the Avengers and defends Wakanda from Claw and the Shadow Council. Now, as far as this voice acting, James C. Mathis III reprised his role in this version. And with this animation style, we got a polished 2D with digital shading and MCU-inspired costume designs. Now, this leads us to the 2020s, which is where we got a more cemented Black Panther legacy, some experimentation, and a new future. And what I mean by experimentation is we got 2021's What If Marvel series on Disney+. And this version of the character was an alternate universe version that featured T'Challa becoming Star-Lord instead of Peter Quill. Now, in this version, he not only reforms the Revengers, but he also persuades Thanos to abandon his villainous plans. Now, with this voice acting, we got Chadwick Boseman returning for his role in one of his final performances, sadly. But his voice exuded hope and heroism, and I felt like this was the version that let everyone know, okay, this is our future Black Panther. Not that the movie didn't, because trust me, the movie was amazing, but once they started featuring him in the animated versions, it was like, okay, this is for sure our Black Panther for years to come. Sadly, we didn't get that in the future, but this animation style featured painted cell shading inspired by comic book covers and concept art. Next, we got 2021 and 2022's Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Now, this version of Black Panther featured a friendly and a wise version who helps younger versions of Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ghost Rider battle villains like Doc Ock and etc. This did feature a simplified for preschool audiences type of version, and the voice actor brought some warmth and approachability to this role. Now, I couldn't really find his name, but if you guys can, please let me know in the comments below, because I feel like this young person did a good job as well. Now, as far as this animation style, we got a bright and bubbly 3D animation with exaggerated proportions and simplified costumes. Lastly, we got 2025's Eyes of Wakanda, the animated miniseries that is currently showing on Disney+. I spent this whole past weekend watching it, and it gave us a different take not only on Black Panther, but also on a lot of the warriors throughout history. Now, this version of the character, I'm not going to give too many spoilers, but I will just say one thing. The only time we do see Black Panther is in the final episode, and it reveals a future Black Panther in a post-invasion world. But the series focuses on various warriors, Wakanda's elite agents, retrieving vibranium artifacts throughout most of history. And I did enjoy this miniseries, although it's not groundbreaking or amazing, but if you do love the character of Black Panther or even Wakanda and a lot of that world, this does give some context to certain things that have happened within Wakanda history. But also, I love how the ending, let's just say, it ties into some of the films. Now, with this voice acting, we got an ensemble cast that includes Cress Williams and Anika Noni Rose, among others. Now, with this animation style, we got hand-painted visuals inspired by artists like Ernie Barnes, set within the MCU's sacred timeline, blending lore and artistry. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know which hero or which character you would love for me to do a deep dive on when it comes to animated history below in the comments. But Black Panther has gone from silent cameos to leading roles in both animated series and blockbuster films. Whether it's the classic comic-based stories, futuristic timelines, or alternate realities, each version of T'Challa and his successors has contributed something unique to the legacy of Wakanda's protector. From Keith David to Chadwick Boseman, and from motion comics to anime, Black Panther has become a symbol of strength, wisdom, and royalty across all media. Alright guys, so do you remember any of these cartoons that featured Black Panther? If so, which is your favorite appearance, and which do you feel best represents the character? Let me know in the comments below. Last thing before I do go, please make sure to hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date. My name is Jacey, and until next time, I'm out.